Alright, so in this lesson we want to talk about perimeter and area, which is something that should be relatively review for you from 7th grade math. So earlier in this year, we've already found the values of algebraic expressions by substituting values in for variables like a, b, and c. We've plugged numbers in. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at that in terms of various formulas of perimeter and area, for instance. So just some new words we're going to hit this chapter. Perimeter, the distance around the geometric figure. For instance, how many steps would you have to take to make it around an object, or if you're measuring the outside of an object. The area, on the other hand, tells us how much carpet or how much paint we would need to cover a surface. It's telling us basically if you have like blocks set up, how many blocks would cover that surface. So just a couple key concepts here. The perimeter of a rectangle would be the sum of all four sides, and we can write that in the formula because if we have a rectangle, the lengths are each going to be equal to each other, and the widths have to each be equal to each other. That's essentially the definition of a rectangle. But so we're going to take the size of the length, double it, and we're going to add it to double the size of the width. So in a formula, that would look like 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Double the length plus double the width. If you remember, the distributive property allows us to multiply that 2 by each term. So if we take a look at that backwards, we could also take the length plus the width. So basically like one L shape, and we could double it, and we'd have 2 of these L shapes. That would be the distance around my rectangle. For the triangle, no fancy formula here. We just take the sum of all 3 sides, and we could have done that with the rectangle. With this 2 times length plus 2 times width makes it a little easier for us. So let's take a look at an example here. We want to find the perimeter of this triangle. It's got a side of 24, 34, and 18. Remember that our perimeter is simply the sum of all 3 sides. So we're going to write P equals A plus B plus C. We can call A 24, we can call B 34, we can call C 18. And we're just going to say 24 centimeters plus 34 centimeters plus 18 centimeters. And let's see, that's going to be 50, 60 plus 4 is 8. So it looks like about 76 total centimeters if you add that all together. Let's check our answer real quick. Yep, 76 centimeters. So go ahead and take a look at this problem. What is the perimeter of the triangle? And just go ahead and jot what you believe the answer is on the back of your note sheet. Alright, so now looking at this next example, the perimeter of a rectangle is 60 feet. Its width is 9 feet. Find its length. So we're going to go ahead and set up our equation. We know that the perimeter is equal to 2 times length plus 2 times width. We have the perimeter. We're going to put 60 in for P. So this was my perimeter. Width 9 here we're given for W. So I don't know the length. That's what I'm trying to find. So I'm going to leave length L. So we'll put 2 times 9. Alright, so we've got 60. Let's simplify it. Equals 2L plus 18, because we know 2 times 9 is 18. Now remember, when we're solving multi-step equations, we want to isolate the variable L. To do that, we need to get rid of all the terms that don't have an L on this side. So let's subtract 18 from each side. And we're going to get 60 minus 18, which is 42. We get 18 minus 18, which is 0 on the right side, plus 2L. So now this L, something multiplied by 2 equals 42. So let's figure out what half of 42 is by dividing both sides by 2. We're going to get 21 equals L. So the length of my triangle is 21. And don't forget your units, feet. And does that seem reasonable? Well, if I have 9 feet plus 9 feet, that's 18, plus 21 is 39, plus another 21 would give me 60. So always double check your answer to see if it sounds correct. So now we're going to do a concept check here. Go ahead and pause the video if you would like to jot this down on the back of your note sheet. The perimeter of a rectangle is 36 meters. Its width is 6 meters. Go ahead and find its length. Alright, so we talked about perimeter. Now we're going to go ahead and look at area. Now the area is simply the product of the length times the width. If you kind of think of this, let's sort of simplify this rectangle. Let's pretend that it's 2 blocks high and 3 blocks wide. Well, I could count how many blocks fill it up. Sorry for my crooked lines there, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if the width was 2 blocks and the length was 3 blocks, 6 blocks total would fill it up. So that's essentially what multiplication is. Multiplication is telling me how many rows I have times how many columns I have. So if I take 3 columns here and multiply it by 2, that tells me I have 6 blocks in my rectangle. So in symbols, length times width gives me area. For the triangle, the area is 1/2 times the base, which is this measurement down here. And you can call any side your base as long as you have the height, which is perpendicular at a right angle to your base. Your height goes from the corner to the base at a right angle. We're not calling either of the sides the height, we're calling the literal. If I stood a ruler beside this and measured the height of the triangle from the base to the top, that would be the height. So in symbols, it's 1/2 times b, this length measurement, times the height. And if you think of where that comes from, essentially, if you realize that a triangle is simply a rectangle, can be a rectangle cut in half, we know that we could call this the height of my rectangle, the height here, and we could call this the base. And you can tell that this triangle portion is 1/2 of the base of my rectangle times the height. So that formula is not just random. It comes from it's derived from somewhere. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. So we have the base of a triangle is 10 inches and the height is 7 inches. Go ahead and find the area. Remember, area is 1/2 base times height. We're given the base of 10 inches, so that's B. We're given the height of 7 inches, which is H. So let's just plug it into the formula to find area A. So A equals 1/2 times base, 10, times height, 7. 1/2 times 10 is 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Now notice we're multiplying inches by inches. So inches times inches is going to give me inches squared, or squared inches. And my area is 35 inches squared. So go ahead and pause the video, take a look at this problem, jot down your answer on your note sheet. Now this last example we're going to look at sort of just relates it to a real world problem if you ever need to figure out the area of a garden or how much grass seed you might need to fill a lawn. These sort of area and perimeter measurements are important for that. So we have here Mrs. Winston has a small bag of grass seed that will seed 750 square feet. So we see square feet, that should be a red flag that that's an area, how much area she can seed with that grass seed. She wants to reseed an area that's 30 feet long, so length should be a key, that's our L. And then how wide can the area be? How wide, that's what we're trying to find, so that's going to be our W, and we don't know. So area equals length times width. Area is 750 square feet. Length is 30. And we want to find the width. We're going to call that W. Now to solve, we're going to need to isolate the W. So since they're multiplied, let's do the opposite. Let's divide both sides by 30. And since we can cross out the 30s, we can cross out the 10s. 75 divided by 3 is 25. You could also have done that without crossing out the zeros. That just simplifies our work a little bit. But we get 25 is the width, and again that's 25 feet. So let's just think about that. 30 by 25, does it make sense that that would equal 750 of an area, 750 square feet? Just put it in your calculator, 25 times 30, you should get that answer. So finally, I'll leave you with this. Amy has enough paint to cover 630 square feet. She wants to paint a rectangular stripe along the wall that's 45 feet long. How wide can the stripe be? So go ahead and figure that out. Make sure you have all 4 examples answered on your note sheet.